Hello, welcome to the Fuzzy Loaf podcast, where two dorks talk about the latest happenings in pop culture and geekdom. I am your, I guess, host. Not guest. You never mind, forget it. I'm Scott. With me, as always, is Matt.
Hey.
And so before we really get started, let's talk about Tony Hawk.
Okay.
We were just talking about it before we started, and that seems like something worthy enough to talk about on. Because Matt knows video games, and I know Tony Hawk.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Isn't it depressing to see all that? If you don't know, apparently the new Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 game is just a complete pile of horse shit.
Yeah. I think, like, the Metacritic score was below 30, if I remember correctly.
Well, I mean, I just saw videos of it, and, like, just, like, random, like, glitching. The graphics look PS2
Yeah,
era.
they look as bad as Tony Hawk
They
Pro Skater
look kind of
3.
worse than, like, Underground.
Yeah. It sucks because, we both grew up in the 90s or, like, 90s, 2000s.
Or mostly early 2000s,
Yeah. So we grew up with those games. And I remember playing, like,
I clocked
all the way
so
from
many
the
hours.
PS1 on and, like, the N64. And I remember, like, how great those games were. Like, every single one of them just, like, exceeded your expectations.
Yeah.
And then they started to kind of taper off towards, like, Underground 2.
After Underground. I think Underground 2 was like the last. American Wasteland was still okay, but not that great.
Yeah.
And then it started to get really kind of.
And then we had EA who came in with Skate. And I don't know if you've ever played the Skate games. I fucking love them, but I love them because they're more technical. Like, it feels like Tony Hawk, there's a disconnect. You
just
click,
press the
you
fucking
press a
buttons
button. And with Skate, it's like more finesse and, like, actually you have to think about what you're doing. And there's, like, more coordination to it.
I think that's why I liked Tony Hawk, is because it was so easy.
Yeah, but then
press the button.
we see the reviews for this game, and I was hoping it was going to be nostalgic or, like,
I was like,
bring
cool,
back
Tony
some
Hawk
nostalgia.
in the modern era.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm interested in that. Let's do it. Then I hear how crappy it is. How they basically just, like, threw the game together. I'm like, well, that makes me bummed out. And, like, the patch they released for the game was over, like, twice the size of the actual game itself.
Yeah. Well, I heard some. I can't remember who said it, but it was kind of a funny joke. There was, I think it was like around E3. There was a photo was leaked of a gala event for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, and this was before they had announced it. And it was like one of the caterers had taken a picture or had a picture of themselves in front of. It was like in a skate or in a half pipe. With the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 logo in the background and a bunch of tables set up. And somebody joked that then, God, who owns them now? It's not THQ, because THQ folded.
Activision.
Okay, Activision. Then somebody joked that Activision was like, well, fuck, the secret's out the door. We might as well release the game right now. And I was like, that was it. Like,
Pretty
it's not
much.
finished. We haven't done bug testing or anything.
Seriously.
But
it's like they threw that game together. I'm fine with waiting for it. Just fucking put some. But
yeah.
Activision is kind of notorious for being real shitty, right?
It depends. Usually their games
They used to be good.
Usually their games
I
have
think they
high
thrived
pedigree.
in the PS2 era
Yeah.
with Guitar Hero and Tony Hawk.
But I mean, they put out like Call of Duty every year, and
Oh, do they?
those games,
sense.
those games don't generally do not have game-breaking bugs or anything. Like those games, whether or not you like them, they come out like as polished as a game.
That's
because
because the dorks that play Call of Duty are like way hard. Like if there's like the slightest little bug, they'll be like on the 4chan yelling about it or whatever kind of bullshit. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and it's one of the most publicly accessible games. Like that
People
in
play the
GTA.
fuck out of
Yeah,
it.
there will be people that only play that
GTA is
game.
beautiful though.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have GTA 5?
I had it on the PS3, but then my disc reader burned out on the PS3.
Oh shit.
I want to get it on the PS4, but
God damn, I never actually really played it. I would watch my roommates play it and just watch it because it felt like a cinematic
my problem
experience.
with GTA is like with any of the games in the series is I just like lose myself. I'll just spend hours driving
doing
around.
it.
Yeah, just driving.
I was playing it. I was just driving, looking at the sunset, like this is so beautiful.
And the fucking radio stations, so great.
That soundtrack,
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just a good blend of like hip hop and punk and like my favorite genres.
Yeah.
You're like driving through, you'll be like, oh cool, I'm gonna listen to ASAP Rocky, and then Waves comes on, and you're listening to Off, and you're just like, this is great. I love
Yeah.
it.
Anyways,
So
back
Tony
to our-
Hawk were all bombed. It wasn't. I have a Wii U, and it wasn't even coming out for Wii U.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even get the game anyway.
I knew I
the
wasn't.
fact that it
I knew I
sucks.
wasn't gonna get it because just from what I had seen from the early preview stuff was not good. It looked like it was really troubled, and
How do companies think they can get away with like putting this garbage out and then
I think
charging $60 for it?
I think what it was Activision just cut them off. They were like, "You've spent too much time. Like this game has been in development for years, and they've spent so much money on it already that I think Activision was like,
How
we
did they
have to
spend
put
so
out
much
something."
money on it and it came out so crappy?
I have no idea.
Were they just like fucking spending it on blow and whatever?
Maybe. I really don't know because I'm not sure who's making the game anymore. I don't think it's Neversoft because Neversoft isn't around anymore. THQ isn't around anymore, which THQ is the original publisher.
And then Neversoft did. At least I know the Underground games.
Yeah. So I don't know who developed it really.
Oh, I think I know. I remember reading the name of it, but it was not a name I recognized.
Yeah.
Who the developer was.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but my guess is like I have no idea. I really don't know because from the looks of it, it just looks really
It seems like they were just
bad.
jerking off and doing blow instead of
Yeah.
actually working on the game. But so you've seen my list of stuff I have for what we could talk
Yeah.
about. What did you do? You want to go into the big story first, or do you want to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D?
I think we should save Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for last so we can kind of get into spoilery stuff. So
Okay.
if people haven't watched it, they can.
They can watch. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
So let's talk about the big.
You want to talk about Watchmen?
Yeah.
So this week, Collider published a story saying that Zack Snyder is in talks with HBO for a Watchmen series. Watchmen, the graphic novel written by Alan Moore and drawn by Dave Gibbons back in the 80s. You know, great superhero commentary. It's basically a novel more than a graphic novel. There's more words in it than full books with no pictures I've read before. But Zack Snyder directed the movie in 2009, and I guess he's in talks for a series with HBO. HBO came out and said, yes, there are talks. There's nothing like actually official, but there are words being read. So I wanted to ask you, could it work? Would we like to see it? How would they do it?
Yes, it could work. Would I like to see it? I would love to see it. Not with Zack Snyder though.
Let me say, I'm not really a fan of Zack Snyder, but the Watchmen movie, I'm on a side where I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good, especially like the 4-hour director's cut.
What I think would work is like somewhere between 5 and 10 episode, basically
It
like
has to
mini.
be. It has to be if they're redoing the story from like the actual comics, because there are like they could go other whatever. It would work best as like a multiple mini series.
Yeah, and that's the way I see it. Is like an hour or like 45
each episode was an
minutes.
issue of the original comic when it was released.
I think that could work really well, but like I said, I don't know if I want Zack Snyder helming this.
He would not direct any of the episodes. Probably not, because he's too busy. I think he would mostly be on as a producer.
Yeah. Then I think it could work. I don't know what it is about Zack Snyder. I love certain parts of all of his movies, but generally the story is where he messes it up. And I think with Watchmen, the reason why the original the movie worked was because he basically just retold the story as it was, cutting bits and pieces out.
I think, and a lot of people are pissed about the change where, you know, in the original comic, there's Ozymandias creates a giant weird fake alien to like trick the countries of the world to like unite against this common threat. Where in the movie, Zack Snyder changed it so it was Dr. Manhattan. He basically frames Dr. Manhattan for all this destruction to unite the countries against him. And I personally think that was actually a better ending than the ending to the comic. Haters, bring it. I don't care. I think that was like a logical, made more sense, especially for adapting it to a wider audience.
Yeah. No, and I think having some creative differences between the original material and whatever work you're doing is always a good idea because you can put a new spin on it and tell it in a different way that might work for other people. Like if somebody read the original comics, they might not have liked that ending, and they might have liked Zack Snyder's better, like you did. Or, if they did it a different way, somebody else might like that. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I used to be more of a purist when it came to like comic book adaptations and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, well, if you're adapting it, what's the point of like just giving us the exact same story? If you want that, just go read the fucking comic.
yeah.
You know?
And my point is that I always make is Iron Man 3. I thought that twist was one of the best, because you go in expecting, I was like, okay, I know what's gonna happen generally. Like they're gonna do this type of thing. It's gonna be like this, and then this is gonna happen, and then that twist happens, and then you're like, oh shit, I don't know what's happening anymore. Like I have no idea what's going on anymore.
To like argue for that, I think most people were upset that we were kind of cheated out of like a really great villain, but I thought the twist was pretty cool.
And they left it open with that
one shot. I think the one shot was like more of a reaction to fans.
I'm sure it was,
but the fact that they still did it.
Yeah. Because I mean, it is true. They didn't ever say that the Mandarin wasn't real. They just said that Ben Kingsley's character wasn't the actual Mandarin.
Yeah, he was a Mandarin pretty much.
Yeah, like he was the person dressing up as the Mandarin. Yeah. Just like an Elvis Presley impersonator in Las Vegas is not actually Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that Elvis Presley never happened.
It's just they're not the real one.
But so what are your thoughts? Would you like to see this then?
I would kind of like to see it. Could it work? Yes, they could easily do it. I think with HBO is proven with Game of Thrones that they can do crazy, and they're looking to get into that genre stuff to like pull people in.
Yeah.
Honestly though, I would like to see, like, you could tell a Watchmen like story, but it doesn't have to be Watchmen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like more of like an original thing instead of adapting these properties again and again. Like we just found out like this week too, or last week or whatever, that Sony's might be rebooting Men in Black for and there are like a whole new trilogy again. Like it's like they're really grabbing at franchises. Like I think HBO could do you could tell basically the same story. You obviously wouldn't do the exact same because then it'd be a blatant ripoff. But you could do a Watchmen-like story with original characters.
But this is why they won't do it.
Because
Watchmen already has built-in fans.
Exactly.
And people know
it's the brand, it's the
Watchmen,
franchise, it's the way Hollywood and everything is now.
Yeah, and that's why...
Which I understand, but at the same time, you're kind of
No, and I completely agree with you. Is I love seeing new things, but at the same time, you better believe I'm going to go fucking see Star Wars. You better believe I'm going to go see... like Doctor Strange and all these people, because like I know who they are,
right?
And if you don't know who they are and like it's not a known property, then you might not.
Yeah.
What I would rather see than this, instead of HBO going for Watchmen, which has already been done, is go for Invincible, which has not been done on screen or anything else. I would fucking love to see an Invincible either.
I would love. I don't know if they could do it. It might be like too crazy, but I would love Invincible.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a good.
Or Saga would be a good one. I think to see that.
Where's this Why the Last Man show they're supposed to be?
Yeah,
these places are supposed to be working on for.
I hope they don't do it because I don't think they could
do it right.
Yeah, the story is.
I haven't read it, but you're a big fan.
The story is long enough, and there's big enough important pieces throughout all of it that I don't know if you could condense it down to a movie. A series you maybe could, but I don't know. That would be my only concern with it. Like when I think Vince Vaughn, or not Vince Vaughn,
Brian K. Vaughn.
Yeah, but I swear like Matthew Vaughn or one of the people that have been doing comic book movies was originally supposedly in talks to direct the adaptation, the film adaptation.
Oh.
And I was like,
but it's
kind of excited,
but it has
but
a
at the same
definitive
time,
end. I think it would work better as like like 5
series.
seasons and then it's done. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, and I completely agree with that.
Like you brought up Invincible. You and I are both big Invincible fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm huge. We're like, Matt knows the story. The other day I was wearing my Invincible shirt and I dropped a red marker and it got on my shirt. I immediately went online and bought the same shirt over again because I love it. I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I would love to see Invincible in some kind of, in like movie, TV, but I don't know if it would even work.
Why? Do you mean like a
it's
live action?
so yes.
Yeah.
They're not. They would never do animation.
I don't know.
For an adult show like that.
I don't know. I think they're missing out on this because there are a lot of adults that would like some of the more adult storyline comic books in some sort of like
Other medium.
series form. Look at anime. There's a lot of anime that's aimed
I
at
know.
more mature adults.
They could. The thing is, they could do it, but they're not willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
Which I'm
Somebody's
not
gotta be the
saying
first
is
one.
bad, or I'm not like calling. I mean, it sucks, but I'm not faulting them for that because it's it's money.
Yeah.
It's a big risk to take.
I think that Image Comics would be on board for it because they're like a publisher that takes a lot
Robert
of risk.
Kirkman has got to have some weight in this TV world now with Walking Dead. You've got Fear the Walking Dead. He's the writer of Invincible. You think maybe he could, but Invincible is, I think it's really heavy effects. Mm-hmm. It would take a lot of money.
Well, and that's why I don't know if it would work live action, but it could work animated if they.
It'd be a really cool adult animated show.
Yeah.
But not even really that adult. Honestly, if you just cut the gore, it's basically PG.
Yeah, there's not.
It's like not even. It's not even like R. It's like PG-16. There's like intense gore, but if you cut that out, it's easily accessible for.
Well, and a lot of the gore is non-human.
True.
So you get away with a lot of that by it being an alien or a mutant or something that isn't.
But it's a lot of
completely
red blood.
identical. Yeah, I guess.
It's a lot of blood.
Well, then look at what video games have done in the past. You change the red blood into green or blue, and there you go. Now you're PG-13 or rated T instead of.
Amazing how you can do that.
Yeah, but I would love to see that. I'd also love to see Saga.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work either, but
Probably not.
These are. Once again, like an adult animated show would be fucking great. I love the comics. There's nothing wrong with reading the comics, but there's always something cool about seeing it in motion.
Yeah, seeing it come to life. It seems more real,
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to the original Watchmen could be. I'd be interested to see where it goes. Who knows if it'll even actually happen?
Yeah. This is. I'll segue into another topic after this. Because I think it leads perfectly into it. But this is one of those things I would probably check it out, but I'm not a huge Watchmen fan to begin with. Like
I was when I was
good.
15.
Yeah, but it's not like my favorite comic book series. No. And I don't know if I need to see another adaptation of it. I welcome them to do it, and like I said, I'd give it.
If it does.
Yeah, but I don't but it's gonna be one of those.
Be real sad if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's not one of those series that I'm gonna be like, I have to watch this every week.
Right.
But this, how HBO came out and said, yes, we are in talks with Zack Snyder about a Watchmen series, but that doesn't mean it's happening. Reminds me of earlier this week or last week, George Miller came forwards and said that he was in talks with DC about
something.
I think he did say Superman, but he said that he's not doing Superman. That's not what he's doing.
He's not doing Man of Steel 2.
Yeah, he's not.
He doesn't even want to do another big action movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad because people are hoping for more Mad Max.
I thought he said the next Mad Max was confirmed. I thought we had that.
No, he just came out the other day and said he hopes his next film isn't a giant blockbuster.
Yeah, but
he could be throwing a curveball. He could be doing the swerve,
and he could also direct something in between. I mean, look at how long we had.
We could get another Bane. Maybe he's gonna do Happy Feet 3 or whatever.
But or he could just be attached to Mad Max as like a producer instead of a director.
He's directed all of them though.
Yeah, but maybe if he wants out of action movies so bad, this could be his chance to be like, I want to be attached in some way because it's my property, like it's my baby that I've dealt with the whole time. But maybe he wants to give somebody else the reins. I'd be willing to see that. But we did get confirmed that he was in talks with DC about something. So maybe he is attached to something maybe that's more lighthearted. Maybe.
Yeah, well, Zack Snyder came out, I think, last week and said Batman v Superman is essentially Man of Steel 2. Which kind of bums me out. I was like, really? Superman can't get his own fucking story? You got to throw Batman in there? Because everyone's got a hard-on for Batman.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I just think they're trying to do something to save face because Man of Steel, although it did commercially well, did not do
as well as they
critically
wanted it
well,
to
and it
do
didn't do
either.
critically well. Like
it was very
fans.
panned.
Yeah, but
where you and I both didn't like it. Right?
yeah, The other thing that nobody talked about is that maybe George Miller was in talks with like a Vertigo property.
Could be
Because
anything.
DC, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they own the rights to, a lot of comic book series that they own the rights to, that he could be.
Well, they have
adapting.
all of their, because Warner Brothers owns DC, so all of their comic book series they have all the rights to.
But that's what I mean. Is it could be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Could be Swamp Thing. Could be Elongated Man, for all we know.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of other like non-traditional superhero comic books or like non-action.
Right.
You know what I mean? They have other storylines that aren't just straight up gore and explosions and beating people up and superheroes
Yeah,
with dumb names.
we've seen a lot of. They're obviously whatever films they're gonna make, they want properties, they want franchises. But we've got plenty of the traditional superhero movies, and I am kind of in let's not flood the market with that. But you've got these properties that are different and strange that aren't necessarily superhero. Maybe.
Well, look at now I can't remember if it's Fox. I think it's Fox is doing Lucifer, which is a Vertigo published comic that's about basically the devil is bored on Earth and is like. I think he was like,
oh yeah, he's
caught up in an
now
investigation
he's
or
like
something.
helping with
he's
with some kind of crime bullshit. I don't know, whatever.
but like
Then you've got Preacher coming out on I think AMC.
yeah.
Really
So
interested in that.
there are DC and Vertigo properties that he could be in talks about that aren't necessarily big blockbuster explosion
Could be whatever.
fest. But
All right, so now I wanted to go talk about Marvel for a little bit. Kevin Feige's been doing the rounds with these Avengers Blu-ray thing coming out.
oops,
What did you do?
smacked the mic twice.
Yeah. So he said that post Infinity War, basically a whole new Avengers roster, because the contracts are up. Obviously, they're not gonna want to shell out an arm and a leg for these great actors, which I think it's fine. Change it up a bit. And he also said that Doctor Strange will be an origin story. He's like, I don't know why people think it wouldn't be an origin story.
Because I think
Because he never said they were done making origin stories.
yeah, that's what people pulled out of. There was like a quote where he's like, it's not going to be all origin stories or something like that.
yeah,
and people just took that as
No
origin stories.
Because people just, yeah. He said like, why wouldn't we? He's a character that nobody knows the origin story to. It's pretty unique. They need to be introduced to this character. I'm like, yeah, that makes so much sense.
Think about Captain Marvel too.
She needs an origin
Yeah,
story.
nobody-
Nobody knows who the fuck
yeah.
she is. So I wrote down a few things here. Who would you think would be on the new Avengers roster? And what do you? I can't even read my own writing. Doesn't even make any sense. Who would you think would be on it?
Yeah.
And who would you like to be on it? Which are two different questions, and two different things that answers entirely.
So we have to think about the movies that are coming up. Spider-Man's definitely on.
Yeah, he's got to be.
We might get one or two people from Guardians of the Galaxy, or all of them. You never know. Or they might use them as like sometimes characters, depending on crossover. Who else? So Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, unless they're doing something like I said before, introducing like the Illuminati storyline where Doctor Strange might be more of a background character.
Yeah, but remember Tony Stark is Iron Man's gone. Roster.
So they said not on the new Avengers. That doesn't mean that they're completely gone from the movies.
But I mean, their contracts are all up. They're going to be real expensive to get for.
Yeah, but it also depends if they're not main actors. If they're supporting characters, then their contracts are legally going to be different.
Right.
They can't demand the same amount of money as a primary actor or primary role. Who else do we have? Inhumans, we could get, right? Because Inhumans happens between.
It happens after.
Oh, it happens after?
It's the very last one to come out.
So after Infinity War's Part 2.
Basically, Inhumans, it's technically, I guess, the end of Phase 3. Kind of like how Ant-Man's the end of Phase 2, I think.
So we might see a lineup
Which makes
after
me think
Infinity War.
Inhumans is going to be... If Inhumans comes out after Infinity War, it's clearly going to be pretty disconnected from the rest of the main Avengers story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's going to be their version of X-Men. I think we're going to kind of see...
Oh, for sure.
quite funny. We're gonna see. I don't know if they're going with traditional Inhuman characters or Inhumans characters. Like if we're gonna get Black Bolt and Medusa.
I think in the movies we're gonna get Black Bolt, Medusa, and
I can't think of anybody else's name.
Triton.
Yeah.
And oh my God, we gotta get.
So then
we gotta get Lockjaw, please.
So then they might be kind of the anti-hero to the Avengers, because Inhumans don't really get along with most other people, at least in like the comic books.
Not really. Just more recently they do. They have.
Yeah.
They're pretty secluded. They have Adelon, their own city on the moon, kind of like secret society.
Mm-hmm.
They live in seclusion away from humans in order to like basically protect themselves and all this and whatever. And
yeah.
I think.
Otherwise, do you think we're gonna see crossover? Like Daredevil makes it into movies.
Kevin Feige did say this week that the movies will reference the TV shows.
But do you think we would see any of the characters from the Netflix Marvel series like make their way over from Defenders to Avengers?
I think in the most a cameo.
Yeah.
I think the characters they're using on TV work best on TV and wouldn't be suited as well in film format.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be like, maybe these guys at the TV shows will really pick off the actors will become big stars, and they'll be like, maybe let's capitalize on it and put them on the movies or whatever. But I think, obviously, I think Black Panther will stick around.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Black Panther entirely.
Captain Marvel, obviously, because she's being introduced at the end. You don't get rid of an awesome character like that.
God, what a waste would that be if they introduced her, then killed her off instantly.
Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
They could go anywhere, but I think maybe post Infinity War we might start to see even more interesting. Maybe we'll get Nova. Maybe we'll get Miss Marvel.
Yeah, Nova
Marvel
could work.
Miss Marvel would be an awesome movie for younger audiences. She's a 15-year-old girl with crazy powers. She's basically Spider-Man for this generation.
Yeah, my thing is I don't think they're gonna have anybody with powers that doesn't have their own standalone movie or hasn't been introduced. Like if we get new characters in Civil War that we haven't seen yet, or in Infinity Wars Part 1 or like something like that, then I think we could see them in the Avengers. But otherwise, I think the only people that we're gonna get like in, let's say, Avengers, whatever it's gonna be, Avengers 4 after that, if they call it that, or like the new Avengers, whatever they're gonna call that first movie after Infinity Wars, that is like the team up. We might see like someone like Agent 13 or whatever her name is.
That'd be pretty lame because nobody knows who she is.
But we got like Black Widow that way. We got Hawkeye that way. In Avengers 1, we weren't introduced. We were introduced to them in the movie. I don't think they're going to do that with anybody with powers. I don't think we're going to get a Miss Marvel unless we have a Miss Marvel movie or
That's
something.
That's what I'm saying. I think we will get a Miss Marvel movie.
Okay.
It would be a character that would be perfect for a movie.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a Nova movie because it's basically Marvel's Green Lantern.
Yeah. Well, in Nova, we've kind of been introduced to that world in Guardians
of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
We know the Nova Corps already, so it'd be easy to like be like, here's this young kid who suddenly becomes a member of the Nova Corps, and it goes all about that, and because he's gonna be an Avenger in all different Avengers. So is Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
and you've got Miles. So
Miles is.
I don't think we're gonna see Miles for a while.
No, I was gonna say Miles is the only one that
We've got to go through Peter Parker's storyline before we get to Miles,
and I think
makes total
Vision.
sense.
We forgot about Vision entirely. I think he'll continue.
I think we'll see more Vision.
Yeah, he'll be,
which is good because Paul Bettany has Vision.
It was perfect casting.
The breakout, because I just rewatched Age of Ultron last weekend because my friend hadn't seen it yet, so he's like, "Well, because it's out on DVD." He's like, "Let's watch it." He liked it.
Yeah.
He basically had the same thoughts you and I did. Not necessarily as good in some parts as the original Avengers, but still really rad. I was like, Hawkeye and Vision, total standout characters in that movie.
Yeah. Hawkeye, I'll be sad to see go because I think both Jeremy Renner and Scarlett Johansson are going to be done after Infinity Wars. If they're not dead in Civil Wars or Infinity Wars Part 1 or 2, I think they're going to be written off or really ancillary back characters that you might see like for a minute in one of the movies, but I don't think they're going to stick around.
I think they're busy. They want to do other things,
and they're both pretty well-renowned actors that for as small as their characters' roles are in these movies, you know, they're not.
They have
Yeah,
big
they have big
right?
name and they have big pull.
I was gonna say Chris Evans just said that if Marvel wants to renew his contract, he said he would.
And this is why I think, unless they kill these characters off, definitively kill them
they
off,
have to, writing them out would be different.
I think we might see them like we do like some other characters. You know, we might see them for a minute or like 30 seconds, or we might hear reference to, you know, Stark Towers, like Tony Stark is still around,
right.
or like you might see Captain America's shield or something. Like we're still gonna these characters will still exist, and we might still see them in the movies every once in a while. But I think the focus is gonna be on a new team, and I think that's a good idea because we need some progress,
some fresh blood,
yeah,
new characters,
hopefully more females, hopefully
more people of color.
Well, it's just like anything,
just
you know.
anything
right now
different.
it's just like 4 white old guys and.
Pretty much, and in Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of
Right.
Age of Ultron, we get,
but
an
do you know
android.
the other guys are some-
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It does need more diversity, which.
And I'd love to see
Dude,
characters.
what if we got a She-Hulk?
I'd love to see.
She would be much better to write a story for, or a movie for, I think, than the Hulk.
Yeah, but
Her
we don't
origin
know.
would be difficult.
We don't
to
know
do.
how her film rights are right now. We don't know exactly what the film rights are for Hulk, like where she falls.
Could be like the whole. She could be like the same as the Hulk, where it's like Universal has the distribution,
Yeah.
but Marvel can still make the movies. Kind of weird like that. But I don't think that would really stand in.
Ooh.
Jesus, got real excited. I don't think that would really be that big of an issue. I think it's something they could work out.
Yeah, but I would just love to see more, like smaller or weirder characters, like fucking Moon Knight.
I think
dope.
Moon Knight would be best on Netflix.
No, but I mean like.
But you want to see these characters in live action.
Yeah, different characters.
Like kind of goes
besides
back to our
just-
Watchmen HBO talk. Let's see some characters that we don't.
haven't already seen,
Yeah.
and we aren't maybe like the biggest characters in the comics.
And I honestly think after Infinity War is when you might see Marvel be like, let's go a little crazy. Let's do some. They already have taken some major chances with Guardians and Ant-Man and stuff. I think especially after Infinity War, they're gonna get like really outside the box. We're like, I think it's time for us to have.
They've
MODOK
probably
in a movie.
they've probably made enough money so far off of the movies that they've released that they could release like
And
6
then
or
the thing
7
too is
flops. And
not every. I know Marvel's not in the business for making smaller movies,
Mm-hmm.
but not every single individual character movie needs to be $150 million, $200 million. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, I think Ant-Man is a great example of that. I don't know how it was on budget, but
I'll look it up.
they had even said while they were doing it, like, because people kept asking Kevin Feige when they're out talking about it, you know, like, are you worried that this might be your first flop? And it's like, no, because it's a great movie. It's not every movie of ours needs to be this giant blockbuster. And I think that's, like, Ant-Man's a great example of that. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, was just a sleeper hit.
That
you
was
know,
awesome.
Chris Pratt had a lot of weight because a lot of pull because of his character in Parks and Rec. You know, a lot of people knew him and liked him as a comedic actor. And then, of course, he beefs up, and then every girl thinks he's hot now.
Chris Evans?
No, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was zoned out. I was trying to figure out. Ant-Man had $130 million.
Okay,
budget.
so it's still a pretty big budget, but I don't think they were as concerned. You know, like some of their movies, like if Avengers didn't make its money back, that would be a lot more devastating than if Ant-Man just barely made its money back or whatever.
Right.
You know, I just think there are 2 different types of movies.
Yeah. So I've got some stuff to talk about depending on time. Because we still want to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
But we've got, like, how much time we got left? Maybe a half hour?
Yeah, it's been like 30 minutes.
Okay. Here, let me show you what I have written down, and let me know what you are interested in talking about. Because I could go on about plenty of stuff.
Well, we could chat really quick about Jessica Jones just because that's continued Marvel stuff.
Sure. I mean, we're both pretty excited about it. You saw the little mini trailer teasers things?
I'm extremely excited.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Do we have a date yet?
Yeah, November 20th.
Okay, sweet. So a couple days before my birthday.
Nice.
Did you? So both of these were kind of reminiscent of the teasers that they've done for Daredevil.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna get an actual trailer real soon, especially since it comes out in just over a month.
Yeah, a little bit over a month.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to go on about Jessica Jones, except we're really excited about it.
I think we could talk about all of these actually.
Yeah,
because they're pretty small topics.
You're a fan of Alien, right?
Yes.
What did you think of the whole Ridley Scott being like, there's going to be like 17 Prometheus movies before we do another Alien movie, and then like 2 days later literally said the title for Prometheus 2 will be Alien Paradise Lost. And the whole world was like, wait, what?
I'm fine with whatever he wants to do because
I'm not really a huge fan, so I have no real like say. I've seen Alien and I've seen Aliens, but I haven't seen anything else.
There are those types of movies that I'll watch. I enjoy them. Prometheus, I know a lot of people didn't like Prometheus. I actually liked it a lot.
I think it's because they went in expecting an Alien movie, and it's not what it was.
See, and I didn't even go in expecting that.
Okay.
Like, I didn't even think we were going to get a nod to Alien. And then at the very end,
Proto-xenomorph.
Yeah, but I think he's a great director, and no matter what he does, it'll be good. And I like the universe that he's built so far. This kind of like, what if in basically the 1980s, we also had giant fucking spaceships, like people have fucking VHS tapes and cassettes, and it's like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
I love sci-fi movies. Yeah. Like Total Recall, you look at some of the
stuff, it's like, what the
gadgets,
fuck?
And they're like, science did not go in anywhere near this direction.
Yeah, but I totally love that universe that he's created, and I love the horror elements of it. But I also love the like kind of sci-fi action-y elements, so I'm fine with whatever he does. I know a lot of people get like butthurt over all this stuff.
What do you think of the title Alien Paradise Lost?
I think it's kind of a dumb title because...
But you understand it, right? Same thing goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning. It's all about the franchise and the brand. Yeah. And I think the thing with Prometheus is people didn't know the name.
I'm not bothered by the fact that Alien is the... Paradise Lost.
It's like... Yeah. Did F. Scott Fitzgerald write Alien?
Yeah, it's like, what?
That'd be really interesting.
That'd be like if, if I came out with a comic book, or like if Invincible was like
Invincible Paradise Lost.
Or like Invincible Star Wars because they're fighting in space. Yeah, and it's like, right. Okay, but that's already that's already a thing,
Right. Ghostbusters animated film.
Depending on who did the voices and stuff, I think I'd watch it.
I would watch it too, because I know the cartoon from when I was a kid.
Yeah, I would love it if it was over the top, funny, cheesy kind of stuff.
It depends on what cast they're going to use too. Are they going to use this new cast? Are they going to use an original, or are they going to use a whole different cast? Maybe preferably a team of both men and women. Yeah. Ghostbusters.
I think any of those combinations would work. I think the original cast you'd have trouble getting them because
no, but like it's maybe not them as the voice actors, but I'm saying as the characters. Are they going to use the characters from the original Ghostbusters? They can use the characters from the new Ghostbusters. Is it going to be a whole different group of characters? Is it going to take place in New York? It could take place anywhere else. It could be like Ghostbusters International.
Yeah.
Or something like that,
Yeah, I think it could work.
I've always liked Ghostbusters, but I never really realized until recently how hardcore some people are really into Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's one of those series that like I'll watch the movies if they're on. Yeah. They're good.
I grew up with the movies, so I kind of like...
But like some people are like, I fucking hate that it's an all-female cast, and it's like, why? It doesn't matter. Or like, I hate that it's not the original cast, or like, I hate this, or it's like,
I love Ghostbusters so much. It's like, dude, to me, it's like
a movie.
It's a good movie. It's just Ghostbusters. I never realized it has such a hardcore fan base.
It's kind of and I'm sure a lot of people hate this. It's kind of a cheesy concept. Like, it's not like it's this big original thing that nobody's ever thought of. It's basically like, when you and your friends are kids and you think that there's ghosts and you're like, we're gonna suck them up with the vacuum. Like that's basically what it is. But they're fucking adults.
It's basically Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, but it came out before
Luigi's Mansion is basically Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
but same thing.
But so I think people just need to relax a little. I think it could be great, especially for kids, to pull kids into the franchise. Maybe they're not old enough to watch the movies yet. Maybe the original 80s movies, like if they're, older than 10 or like around the age of 10, then I'm sure those would be appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm sure we watched them much younger than they did, but you know how parents are now. So I think it could work. I would like to see, now that you brought up like the Ghost Hunters International, that kind of thing, I'd love to see something like that where it's like maybe not the team that we're seeing in the movie and maybe not the old team, but there could be cameos of their characters.
Maybe they decide to like branch out, becoming Ghostbusters Inc. Like make an international division. Maybe we've got Ghostbusters in L.A.
Yeah.
Or we're in Mexico City Ghostbusters. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Be a good way to pull in international audiences too.
I'm totally for more animated films.
Same with me.
I'm a huge fan of animation too. Mm-hmm. So when I hear they're gonna do Ghostbusters animated feature film in theaters, I'm like, hell yeah, do it.
Yeah,
please.
Some of the best movies that I've seen in the last couple.
Necessarily aimed towards kids either.
Yeah,
it could be like a PG-13 animated film.
Yeah, so some of the best movies that I've seen in the last like 10 years have been animated films.
Yeah, my favorite shows are animated shows and stuff like that. And I was talking to my friend, or maybe I was talking to you or my other friend, but I was like, we've got all these great Adult Swim shows, right, that are animated and they have an audience, and like nowadays you don't see animated movies, like theatrical movies, aimed at adults or an adult audience. I think studios or people in general, when they think animated, they think kids.
Yeah.
So you don't see, because like we don't get any more Fritz the Cats or Heavy Metals anymore. They just don't exist. And like, I would like to see that kind of come back. Why can't we have like a Rick and Morty type movie?
Yeah.
Something along with like, it's obviously aimed towards adults, but it's animated.
Yeah.
It has that stigma.
I think it could work. I mean, I don't know why we haven't seen them. Maybe it's because like for a long time animation was expensive, then the costs went up a little bit and then they went down and then went up and then went down.
To Korea and it's much cheaper.
But like it all depends on the type of animation. Like look at a movie like Big Hero 6. That was that took a lot of money to do because it was a technically impressive
2D
movie.
animation is really expensive too. It takes a long time.
So I think it just depends on where we're at in the cycle, because like we get these new technologies and the price will like go down a little bit, then it might go up, then it might go down. It's like it all just depends on where we are. But I also think adults, while they watch this at home, I don't know that a lot of adults would concede and go see it in theater. But look at series like Archer,
Yeah.
There's a huge following for that show. And something like that could work in a long form.
Yeah.
Like fucking imagine the stupid James Bond,
we had
basically.
a Simpsons movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually really true.
Yeah. That's why I think this Ghostbusters animated film is actually really cool and could maybe help lead the way. Where I don't think it's obviously not, you're not getting an R-rated Ghostbusters.
No.
And we don't need R-rated. I'm just saying, maybe
it could even be like PG, with some, you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily aimed at kids, but there's not
PG-13,
excessive.
It'll still get that audience. I think when people think animated, they think PG. This is for you take your 5-year-old to.
But there are PG movies that are not necessarily aimed at kids. I just think it means you're not writing dick and fart jokes. Yeah, you're not writing dick and fart jokes.
Yeah, we could have maybe aimed at adults.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so let's talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now, finally. Yeah. This week, we got the Season 3 premiere of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I wrote down some questions about it so that we could go with a little more structured talk. So I'm going to ask you, first off, how was it? Who was your favorite character in the premiere? Who was your least favorite? And what predictions you might have for the upcoming season?
Okay, so I'm going to warn anybody that's listening right now. If you've not seen season 3, episode 1, this is when you should cut out because I'm gonna get into some.
We're gonna go into
stuff.
spoilers right away.
So you have been warned.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
My favorite character was Fitz.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that actor has done such a great job of being like.
He's been so dynamic.
Kind
in
of,
the whole series.
kind of like timid. Like in the first season, he's kind of timid.
Season 2, he starts to get real like.
Flirting with not just like flirting with Simmons, but like I mean like flirting with kind of confidence, like he's starting to build towards it. And then we get Simmons we think is dead. Then he fucking loses his shit and is like kind of crazy and like weird and whatever. And then she comes back and then he's kind of like an asshole. And then they kind of get back to like get to this spot where they're good again.
But you kind of like understand where he like
he's upset.
He's like, how could you do this to me? You left me when I was the most vulnerable.
Yeah, and he felt like betrayed and all this stuff.
Abandoned.
And then he loses her a second time, and then he becomes like fucking like James Bond.
He's a
or
man
something.
with nothing to lose.
He's just like
he goes all Indiana Jones. And
yeah.
shit.
Oh, that moment was like holy shit.
Yeah,
that was so cool. My least favorite character. God.
It's quite. I had to ask. You got.
Yeah,
Always.
I think the new guy.
Who's the new guy?
The melting guy.
Oh, the melting guy was your least favorite?
Yeah, only because.
I don't know. Is he even like going to be a real? I think he will. He's
he
their
might
first
be,
Inhuman they pick up. I think he will.
I don't know he's going to be like a main character for a long time. He might die off really quickly or something, but
he's probably going to be codenamed Meltdown.
He was kind of the reason I didn't like him. He felt kind of like shoehorned in. Like he's Hispanic, he's gay, and he's like a construction worker. So like he's like a blue collar. So it's like we need to fill these 3 spots, but we only have one person.
See, I actually kind of liked. I'm the opposite. I kind of liked that they did that. I was like, oh, cool. They're throwing in a diverse character.
Yeah, I just felt
on
like
a
it
show
was
they kind of need
trying
that.
too hard to be diverse.
I'm not gonna argue with you there.
Yeah,
but the fact that they did it, makes me feel a little
like
better.
I said, he's
but
not
he's
my
a cool
least
character. Cause what would you do if all of a sudden you woke up and anything you like metal you touched would just melt?
Yeah,
you would have the exact same reaction as that guy did.
And I just want to point out, like he's not. Like, I don't dislike him as a character. If I had to pick my least favorite character in this first episode, it would be him.
The new guy, because you know nothing
about
him. Right.
Obviously.
Which says something.
We have Daisy, or Sky, if you prefer to call her that, but she's going by Daisy.
Who I thought was great in the premiere, too. Not nearly as good as Fitz.
Gorgeous.
She's
gorgeous.
So, yeah, beautiful.
So she was great. I think Fitz was just... he caught us off guard, or like he caught me off guard. It was like, damn, Fitz, like you were a changed man.
My favorite is either Fitz or Daisy. It's hard to choose. They're kind of at a tie for me. I also really like Mac. I really liked Mac in season 2. I think he's gonna get more development now, because he's always kind of been like weary of the team. He's just like, I don't really know if these guys are really doing.
Yeah.
And now he's still on the team, but he still kind of has that same sense where he's kind of like, this is kind of some bullshit. But at the same time, he's going to do what he has to do. And I really like that. I kind of like the comment about the axe. He's like, should have my axe.
Yeah.
And I like how I don't know if you noticed, the axe is hanging in Coulson's office.
Yeah, I did see that.
And they've got his hand encased, which is so cool. But I think Mac is going to really, in the next coming episodes, going to be pretty cool.
Who was your least favorite character?
Lincoln. The Inhuman electric guy.
I'm just trying to remember. I guess he was only in it for like a minute or two.
Yeah, it was just like he was just like, I don't want to do that life anymore. I'm a doctor now. I'm just like, kind of like.
They needed drama.
It seemed
or
cheesy though.
Yeah. One other thing that I want to like Fitz. That scene where he goes into the room with the stone, shoots off with the shotgun, shoots the door open. Just in that fucking emotion when it like pans out to the long shot, and he's just like his whole body's bent into it, and he's screaming at the stone. That kid deserves like a fucking Emmy. He is so good. He is great.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's gonna. in the future we're gonna see some good stuff from him.
Yeah,
as an actor.
He's going to. I think he has like the most dynamic range of any character on that show, and he's like a side character. You know what I mean? Like he's just been in the background.
But
the
I
whole
like
time.
how, have you noticed how the show's kind of been focusing more and more on Fitz?
Well,
Like a little-
yeah, Fitz and Simmons because
they have an. So I don't know. I thought the thing with Hunter and Bobby was kind of weak,
yeah,
but
we
I always liked him as characters. I like Hunter. I think he's a great character. I'm so glad he's on the show.
yeah.
He's basically, since they don't have Hawkeye in the TV universe, he's basically their Hawkeye. Because in in the comics it was Hawkeye and Mockingbird, but he's basically TV Hawkeye, and he's really good.
Yeah,
His attitude is Hawkeye.
He's like their hired mercenary. You know, like that's what it kind of feels like.
He's Hawkeye,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think what they're doing makes sense with Hawkeye with Hunter and Mockingbird.
I said Hawkeye
No,
so many times.
yeah.
Wow.
But I agree that it's not. It's not.
We'll see where
necessary.
it goes. It was only the
Yeah.
first episode of the premiere, but I easily think, like we were talking before the show, this premiere was what people thought the show was going to be like from the beginning. It's a shame that it took them so long to figure it out, but they have.
Yeah, I remember the episode finished and I said like the same exact thing to Ashley. It was like, this is what the show like it should have been from the beginning, and not necessarily that the show was bad up until this point. It was still a good show. And I think
Season 1 I didn't watch because it was kind of boring.
Even
but season 2,
but even season 1 was, I think it was slow, but I think the reason why was because they didn't want to throw people off. Like if season 1 was this, like where they come in, people have powers and like all that stuff.
And I think we kind of we kind of owe what we're getting with season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with kind of a little bit to Arrow and Flash.
Yeah.
Honestly, where they've kind of shown like, hey, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you guys can be a little weird and people will watch you.
Yeah. I also think that
People will like it.
season 1 came out well before we even knew Inhumans was going to be a thing. Or was going to be like a movie
Now that
property.
they know the direction that they need to go, they're like, oh, okay, now we know what we can do with this show.
Because we got Deathlock, and I feel like Deathlock would have made more sense as like an Inhuman or like something like that.
I think
versus the people that we had with powers in season 1 and even somewhat in season 2. It kind of felt like there was explanation missing, and now we have that explanation.
If they would have known where they were going to go at the beginning, like we obviously, Sky would have probably been named Daisy all along, but they didn't know where they were going to go, so they decided, oh, she's going to be Daisy.
Yeah.
I think they didn't know where they were going yet, so they kind of stayed vague to let themselves build into a certain direction.
So
predictions.
Well, obviously, we're gonna get way more Inhumans.
Yep. We just got to build the Secret Warriors.
Yep.
I don't know if we'll get any of the actual Secret Warriors from the comics.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two, maybe something. Characters similar to them, but
Yeah, I think we'll likely get characters similar to them or like that fit their archetype, but I don't know that we're gonna get the actual characters,
Right.
Because some of them I don't think will.
I think that's
work.
fine too. As long as you fit the archetype of each character, you're doing fine.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get kind of like the first X-Men movie. We've got obviously the government who thinks Inhumans are like terrible and should basically just be put down.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that sort of stance, and I think that's where we're gonna have maybe a group of rogue Inhumans or like whatever you want to call them that are against the government, that are, kind of like the
Brotherhood.
yeah, like
The Brotherhood of Inhumans, of evil Inhumans.
yeah. Well, I don't think it's necessarily evil. It's just two sides of a gray coin.
Well, right. I'm just saying
know.
because in the comics they're the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants,
Yeah.
which they dropped the Evil Mutants part. They're just the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yeah.
I think so. When I first watched the episode, that Rosalind character from the whatever.
Yeah.
I at first thought that they were Sword.
Ah.
Because Sword, deals with aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
Which maybe they will become Sword eventually.
It'll be revealed.
Because you
Yeah.
find out that S.H.I.E.L.D. and this, I don't know, remember the acronym or the abbreviation. This agency that deals with alien
Yeah,
threats. They're like the AC something, whatever. You find out they're really not enemies.
Mm-hmm.
They're just two different agencies going after dealing with the same issue in different ways.
Yeah.
Where their common enemy is really Lash. And I think eventually once they will find more common ground, and then they will become S.W.O.R.D. based off of, because, S.W.O.R.D, S.H.I.E.L.D, they'll adjust their acronym accordingly.
Yeah.
And apparently this lady has had multiple aliases, and whatever alias she's using now could be just another one. I think she might be Agent Brand, who is like in charge of S.W.O.R.D and
Okay.
stuff. That's my prediction. As well as we talked about what planet Simmons could be on. You asked me, and I'm pretty confident in saying it's probably the Kree homeworld.
Well, and see, that's what I was thinking, because Ashley asked me, she's like, because the shot very clearly shows they're on like a moon, technically orbiting a giant planet with another moon in the background. And she was like, well, there's some significance to that shot. That shot was there for a reason. I was like, I think it's either a battle world, because the Kree are known for doing that, or it's the Kree homeworld.
Yeah, my guess is the Kree homeworld, because the Kree homeworld is very rocky like that, with big walled cities.
Yeah.
So that made me kind of think could be Kree. And the Kree has on the outskirts in the rocky, there's big, giant, creepy monsters and.
Yeah, and what do you think was the purpose? So we see Simmons running. She's got like a or a cut on her forehead, and then she rubs mud on it. Do you think that's to block the scent of blood?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if there's like some weird healing properties in the mud or some shit.
Simmons is the biologist, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Fitz is the
engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think we're gonna get more, obviously, of her wherever she is?
Yeah.
Do you think any other characters are gonna get
sucked up?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But I think Simmons will come back, and she will be like, changed, traumatized by her experience on this alien planet. It's
How do you think we're gonna get her back?
I don't know.
Do you think Fitz is going to figure out the obelisk, monolith, whatever you want to call it?
I think it's a monolith.
It's a monolith, yeah. Or do you think that she's going to figure out a way to get back somehow?
I think either one of those things, or it'll just randomly happen, where the monolith will just spit her back out somehow. Well, I'm sure we'll find out, but I'm fairly certain she will be back on Earth.
Yeah. Well, and we know that she's going to be a character within the show over the course of the season. So
yeah. But yeah, it was great. I'm really excited. Next week, I think, is going to be our TV recap episode, because we've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 2, Flash premiere, Arrow premiere, which I'm going to start watching.
Damn.
I'm going to start watching Arrow.
Yeah.
And we've got iZombie.
Damn. Oh man. This week.
So I think let's plan, unless any major news comes out in the next week. Next weekend is going to be our TV recap.
Yeah. Oh, and I suppose I should have done this before we started talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. because we might have lost some people. You should definitely check out Scream Queens. It's great.
I'm gonna check it out. From what you told me about
funny.
I'm gonna check it out. You should check out the Muppets too if you get a chance.
Yeah, I need to.
It's pretty good.
I'll probably watch it sometime today while we're doing laundry or something. I think that's it.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Doctor Who because Matt hasn't been watching it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you want to talk about it, I'm not.
I thought it was interesting. It was weird. It was kind of good. Kind of lost me a little bit. Kind of how it's just been lately. Peter Capaldi's great. I love his Doctor a lot. But Moffat's writing to me is kind of weak, and I think we would be best fit if maybe we had a different head writer.
Yeah,
it's about time for a change.
That's kind of what I've heard, and that's why I haven't really been watching, because I watched like a few episodes with Peter Capaldi, and it's like nothing against him. It's not like he's bad.
His
it's just
Doctor is great.
The writing,
really good.
The stories weren't as like the stories of Matt Smith. I think were some of the best.
And
because
I
they had like
think-
these huge overarching, and maybe that's what it is maybe we just haven't seen the end of it yet or seen like the turn, but like
I think we need some fresh blood. That's
Yeah.
my thing. Is we need someone else because Moffat's been doing this for as long as Russell T Davies had, and then Russell T Davies stepped down. It might be time for someone else. It doesn't mean I don't like Moffat's right. I just don't think what we're getting now is as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
And maybe we could benefit from something different.
Mm-hmm.
But Capaldi's doctor, good. I always kind of like Clara, but she's not really that great. But I like Jenna Coleman, so I'm really glad she's leaving after this season. Missy in the past 2 episodes was pretty good, but we don't need to see too much of her because too much of a good thing is always bad.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my quick recap of Doctor Who.
I think
Just should have done earlier, but
yeah, just from hearing you say that, it's like I think David Tennant and Matt Smith, their doctors, both had like the perfect companions for them,
right.
and I think that's one thing that maybe is what I didn't like about the few episodes
Clara
that I
didn't
did
seem to
watch.
fit very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Capaldi's great, though. I got nothing but praise for him.
Yeah.
And he's probably got my favorite costume of all of the recent Doctors.
All right.
Yeah.
Where can we find you on the interwebs?
I am everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr at ScottyBoy, SEOTTYBWO 4Ys.
Because 3 Ys was taken.
And where you at?
You can find me everywhere at Hagnerd, HAGNERD. You can follow us on Twitter at Fuzzy Loaf. YouTube, you can find us on iTunes now. Our podcast is up on iTunes. I'll be uploading some of the old episodes and maybe even some of the stuff before we switched over to this new format. Maybe some of the older like TV and movie stuff, but we'll see. Just search Fuzzy Loaf Podcast or Fuzzy Loaf and you'll be able to find us. And I think that's all.
I don't think there's any other news to cover.
No.
Like, comment. Comment, obviously. Let us know what you thought about everything we talked about. If there's something we didn't talk about that you think we should have, put it in the comments too, and we'll try to reply. I mean, we will reply. We've got nothing else to do. We'll be here next Sunday, right?
Yep.
I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere.
Nope. I'll be
Cool.
starting packing next week.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, I guess that's it. All right. Bye.
Smell you later.